morning, everyone. Well, I'll say Happy New Year. Who's celebrating a Happy New Year today? All right, Vietnamese Happy New Year. A new year means new things, right? Yes. Great things. Well, we're so glad to have you. I guess going forward, I will have all my meetings here. Because I like talking to a room full of people. So thank you all for being here on this morning. Thank you to Dr. Normil and her team for pulling it all together. Thank you. Let's stand up, Dr. Normil, so they can see you. Let's give her a hand. And then, of course, to Jada and Dr. Simpson, Dr. Nunez, Dr. Lee, and others who are just here in support. I see the team. Let's all the team employees, the senior levels staff members, won't you all stand? Because I want everyone to see who you are. Stand. These are your leaders. We're here to serve you. And so I want you to see who your leaders are. Thank you all. Thank you. So today we've got only 1 hour, right, Dr. Normil? And we got to make it quick. But I'm going to talk in a way that everyone can hear and everyone can understand what we're discussing today. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for being here in Clayton County Public Schools. Clayton County Public Schools. I believe Clayton County Public Schools is going to be one of the highest performing school districts in the state of Georgia. We are working to do just that. And so today, our conversation is to have a real talk with you, really, just to be honest, transparent, and then provide you some time to ask questions. I'll tell you, this morning as I drove up, I was looking for a parking space, so I came in on this end of the building, I believe it is, that end. And I drove up here, and there was a young man standing on the side of the building. I know he wasn't employed. He had a purple shirt on, and he's just standing there with his book bag, smoking a cigarette. So I said, young man. Now he acts like he can't talk when I say young man. Young man. He stands there looking at me. I said, I'm Dr. Beasley, your superintendent. I said, why are you standing there? He's smoking a cigarette. I said, what school do you attend? I know what school he attends. He's right across the street from Morrow High School, right? I said, you attend Morrow? Yes, sir. Why are you not in school? I don't think a classroom is on the side of this building over here. So I told him, put the cigarette out, pick up your book bag, and go where? Go to school. Why did I take our time to do that? Because, first of all, if that young man is not educated, if he thinks his life is hard now, without an education, that's going to compound it, isn't it? So, I understand sometimes we start in different places, but we've got to help our young people understand the value of an education. And to that end, that's why we're here. That's why you're here. That's why we come to school every day, to ensure that our young people have a chance to participate in our democracy through a great education. That's what it's all about. They have to be educated. They have to get an education. And while we're focused on K-12, preparing them for post-secondary options, college and technical school and beyond, we're focused again on K-12. We recognize that if we don't get it right here, it will limit their opportunities beyond this school system. And so we're working to get it right. We're working to get it right. So what I'd like us to do, why are we here? Why are you here? We're here to really have a conversation with our community about what we've got to do to ramp up education in Clayton County Public Schools. It is not good enough to have a small people, a group of people educated. All of us must be what? Educated. All of us. All of our children, not just a small group of our children, but all of our children must be educated. And therefore, we should have high expectations, not just for a few, but for all of our students. And that's what we're working toward. That's what this meeting is about. So I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your color is. I don't care what your hair looks like. I don't care what color your eyes are. When you come to Clayton County Public Schools, I expect you to get educated. And I expect you to get educated at a very high level. High level in every school. Morrow High School, Morrow Middle School, North Clayton High School, whatever school you attend, we expect you to get educated. And therefore, we're going to ramp up expectations. So, who's controlling that screen there?
I'm trying, sir.
Okay. So our vision is to change a few things in Clayton County. Right now, and while they're bringing it up, I want us to understand as a school community that the vision that we have is so much bigger than our current situation. It's bigger than our reality, whatever experience we've had, and we've had many. Our history, our culture, and our environment. We have a vision for our kids in Clayton County, and it's a pretty large vision. And that's why we're having this conversation, because I'm asking for you all's support as we ramp up education in Clayton County Public Schools. Ramp up high expectations in Clayton County Public Schools. Not for a small group of kids, but for all kids, all children. And so, the first thing I want you to see, you see all that red and yellow? We got to get rid of it. Too much red and too much yellow. That's the lower end. We want more green and blue. You see the green and blue?
Yes.
We want more green and blue. I want the red and yellow to do what? Decrease. And I want the blue and green to do what? Increase. We've got to get rid of red and yellow here. That's the lowest level. The lowest performing levels. And look at the areas. English, language arts, math, science, and social studies. Real low, somewhat low, better. That's where you should be. That, real good. Got to get rid of these two. Got to bring it down. Does that make sense? Well, grow up. There you go. Bring it up. I'm talking. Bring it up. So, are we satisfied with all that red and yellow? Not at all. Will not be. And so we're about to change that. By ramping up our expectations, we want more green and more blue, more proficient and distinguished learners in Clayton County Public Schools. So, what are we about to do? Starting next year, all sixth graders. How many of you have fifth graders? Anybody with a fifth grader? Fifth grader, raise your hand. Fifth grader? Good. Starting next year, all sixth graders, so that means current fifth graders, rising sixth graders, will take accelerated math. You say, why accelerated math? What does that mean? In the sixth grade, they'll take all sixth grade content plus half of seventh grade content. In the seventh grade, they'll take half of seventh grade content plus all of eighth grade. And when they get to the eighth grade, they'll take algebra. Why is that important? Because we need our students, once they get to high school, taking math all the way up to calculus and statistics. And the research is clear. The more math they have and the more successful they are in math, the more successful likely they will end up in some positive post-secondary outcomes. And so again, all sixth graders will start in the fall taking accelerated math. They'll take all sixth grade math plus half of the seventh grade in the sixth grade. In the seventh grade, they'll take half of the seventh grade and all eighth grade. And in the eighth grade, they'll take high school algebra in the eighth grade. Okay, that's one thing we're doing. Number two, how many of you have students right now in the eighth grade? Eighth grade? Okay. Eighth graders going to high school, ninth grade, starting in the fall. Every ninth grader will be expected to take at least one advanced placement course. That's a college level course in the ninth grade. We have some options, but all ninth graders will be expected to do that. So what does that mean? They will go into a classroom and the teacher will support them toward learning at a college level. What does that mean? our students will have access to rigor and an experience that many students will not have access to. But in Clayton County, they will. So that means they've got to come to class clearly. They've got to read at a higher level. We're going to support them to read. Some of them may struggle, but it's okay. When you struggle towards higher levels, guess what happens? All you do is get to higher levels. And so those 9th graders will take an advanced placement course, and it's our expectation when they go to 10th grade, they'll take another advanced placement course. When they go to the 11th grade, they'll take another advanced placement course. And when they become seniors in high school, they'll take another advanced placement course or dual enrollment course. So by the time they're seniors and they're graduating from Clayton County Public Schools, they'll be ready for college because they've had at least 4 college level courses. All students, not a small group, all students. See that green and that blue? We've got data that tells us that when our students take advanced placement courses, more than likely they'll land here versus down here. We've got to fix that for not just a small group of students, but for all of our students. So, not only will the high school students be required to take advanced placement or advanced learning courses, they'll also be required to take a career pathway. What does that mean? Every student graduating from Clayton County should leave graduating with a credential. It could be a career pathway in construction. It could be a career pathway in some type of business course. It can be a career pathway in some type of fine arts. It can be a career pathway in some type of, let's say, engineering course, an academic pathway. It can be a career pathway in some type of engineering pathway. Whatever it is, all students are expected to take a pathway starting next year in the 9th grade. And so we're having this conversation because I want our parents to understand that in Clayton County Public Schools, we're expecting all of our students to participate towards doing well with these high expectations. So we're tired of being at the low end. We're ready to come up to the what? The high end. We're tired of the red and the yellow. We're ready to see the what? Blue and the green. We're tired of students not being prepared. We want all students to be what? Prepared. All students college and career ready. Every student in the school system, not just a small group of kids, but all students. And so we're ramping up advanced learning expectations. Now, what happens to the little babies at the elementary? How many of you have children in kindergarten through pre-K through 5th grade? Pre-K through 5th grade. Okay. So, while we're teaching the little babies how to read, they got to know how to read, don't they? We're also going to be making sure that they read to learn. And so we'll be teaching them how to do projects, problem solving. They will all be expected to do some type of project in every grade level. They will figure out a problem they want to solve, and they'll do research, and they'll write, and they'll read, and they'll learn, and they'll go through a process in order to do what? Solve a problem. So we want to get our students acclimated to solving what? Problems. Solving problems. What does that mean? They've got to think critically, think at a higher level. We want them to be able to collaborate, work with their peers, their friends, to think about and discuss issues, but also to communicate and solve and share with others the problem that they had and the solution that they've come up with. We will expect all of our kids to do that. We're working with the national organizations, the College Board, National Math Science Institute, and many others to ensure that we in Clayton County create an environment where all of our kids, not just a small portion, but all of them are thinking critically, they're being creative, they're collaborating, they're communicating towards solving problems. Solving problems. And why are we doing that? Because we're disrupting the past, we're getting rid of the red in the what color was that? Yellow. Because we're increasing the amount of kids in the blue and the what? Blue and the green. And so we got to disrupt the way we've been doing it because it hasn't really been what? Working. Because if it were working, we wouldn't have so many kids in the red and the what? Yellow. I need more kids in the blue and the what? Blue and the green. And so we're fundamentally shifting and changing how we do things in Clayton County Public Schools. And so we're here today to share that with you and to see, do you support that? Will you support that? I'm asking you, I'm requesting of you all to support that. Is it ambitious? It is. Will it be perfect? No. But will our kids be better? Oh yeah, they will be. They'll be better because of it. And so, I'm going to pause here to see if we have questions, and we'll provide as many answers as possible to make sure that we're clear. Dr. Lee and her team is here. We'll be sending out a brochure called the Advanced Learning for All brochure that will tell you all the options that the rising 6th graders will have, courses for the rising 9th graders, to show you that we expect all of our students to participate in advanced learning. We're going to give them the support. The teachers will get the training. Students will get the support that they need. But no excuses. No excuses. When we say all students, we mean exactly that. All students. Okay? So, at this time, questions.
De las aulas o participando a ayudar en clases de los maestros.
How can we as Hispanic parents spend more time in the classrooms with the teachers, helping out in the schools?
That's a very good question. What I would suggest you do, every school has a process where you can visit classrooms. What I would suggest is go to your principal and basically ask the process for visiting classrooms, and visit those classrooms, set up some opportunities, conferences with teachers. Teachers are expected to do teacher-parent conferences, but you can go and visit those classrooms. Work with your principal to see what the process is for visiting those classrooms. I encourage you to do that. When I was a principal, all I asked the parents was, you come before the bell rings. If you come before the bell rings, you sit down, so it's not disruptive and you can observe the classroom. I think that's a great thing, and I encourage you to do that.
Mi pregunta es porque
Kemp Primary.
Say that again.
Kemp Primary is the school.
Kemp Primary.
Mi pregunta es porque yo tengo dos jóvenes, una de 24 y uno de 19. Y a mí se me hacía más fácil entrar a una escuela en esos entonces que ahora en día.
Because I have a child that's 24 and 19, and back when they were in school, it was easier for me to go to the schools than it is for me today.
And we understand that. We understand. So what I would encourage you to do is work with your school on the times and days that you can do that. Your principal will be very welcoming to that. We understand you can't do it every day, nor do we expect you to. But when you can, that's what we're there for, to support you in that process.
Thank you.
It's harder to get into safety and security.
That's why I'm saying she needs to work with her school. If there's something that we need to do, but every school has an open door policy with monitored classroom, visiting classroom. Well, we need to know what school is hard, because some schools I hadn't heard that it's hard. So if you have a school that is hard, tell me specifically what school it is, and we'll address that school. Okay?
Buenos días, superintendente.
Good morning, Superintendent, and everyone here.
Mi nombre es Cruz Mateo. Mi hijo estudia en la Forest Park High School en el 9º grado.
My child is in Forest Park High School in the 9th grade.
Les doy las gracias por su interés de estar acá, por escucharnos, por informarnos de las acciones y problemáticas que de nuestras escuelas.
Thank you so much for being here, for your interest in being here, and for listening to us and providing us information about what's going on in the schools and the problems that are happening there too.
Estoy muy agradecido por este programa de la enseñanza del idioma inglés para nosotros los inmigrantes.
I'm very thankful for this program, this English programs for us, the immigrants that came here.
Mi pregunta ahora es que estoy bastante preocupado por el uso de las drogas en las escuelas, principalmente en la high school. Estoy bastante preocupado por eso. Quisiera saber qué medida usted está tomando, o qué medidas ¿qué medidas tiene el programa para corregir esos flagelos?
I'm highly concerned about the drug use in the schools and mainly in the high schools, and I want to know what types of measures you guys are implementing to resolve this.
Very good. That's a great question. As you well know, American schools deal with drugs all the time because they come into our society. Therefore, they come into the school. So what we do is we have random safety checks where we check lockers, we check book bags, okay? We also encourage young people to use our app. Here's an app. I don't know if you have downloaded the app, but we have a school district app that allows people to share if there are concerns. So I want to encourage you, if you don't have the school district app, CCPS app, download the app because you can report concerns. They go straight to our safety and security department and the principal or the administrator and the SRO, and they can address those concerns immediately. I'll say it's all of our responsibility. As you know, America is a very open society, isn't it? Very open society. Therefore, all of us have to pay attention, look, and when we see something, you got to do what? You got to say something. We can't have enough metal detectors because if metal detectors would fix the problem, we wouldn't be dealing with it now, would we? There are not enough metal detectors because clearly metal detectors can't identify drugs. And so it requires all of us, teachers, principals, and students, and parents, working together. If there are issues, if you see something, you got to say something. And then we as the educators, the principals, we have a responsibility to take action. It's a lot better than it used to be, but there's always room for improvement. Always room for improvement. And I would say to you as parents, from one parent of 4 to another parent, you've got to spend time talking to your children about drugs. You got to be honest and let them know they're out there. What is your expectation? What do you want them to do if someone basically appeals to them to participate in drug use? Honestly, be very honest with you, children, they may not look like they're listening to you, but our children do listen to us. And so you gotta, as parents, all of us have gotta make sure that we're spending time with our children talking about these things. No one takes the place of the parent, not the superintendent, not the principal, not the teacher, the parent. You've gotta spend time talking with your child, your children, about these issues. Drugs, suicide, all of these things. Yes, we have a responsibility, again, as educators, but they're only with us so many hours a day. Where are they after school? Who are they hanging out with? Whose house are they at? Parents have to monitor them. And so it's all of our, collectively, it's our responsibility to minimize that and eliminate drug use as much as possible.
I have one right here.
Good morning, anybody.
Good morning.
I am Kim Trent. I have been studying English at International Center for 5 years ago. And my English go up so fast.
Good.
And I have grandchildren around Clayton County. Joe's grandson, Georgia State
All right.
University. Thank you. And after that, we around high school, middle school, economy. And I hope my grandchildren study English, grow up like me. I really appreciate on Dr. Normil and Vice President, Mr. Nadia, my teacher, and my teacher before. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Now I'm grown up, level 4. I usually check my grandchildren around Georgia State too. Check what day, what homework, anything we check
There you go.
when they study.
That's right.
And when they come in, you have the test today? Yes. I ask them, but they say, what you do? They say, I do well. That's
Good.
I happy. And now I appreciate all of you so much.
I just have a question about, like, do you think that with the small, if we done smaller classrooms, if it would help the child further in education, like learning?
Well, that's a good question. We believe it does. Smaller.
Yeah, instead of like 38 kids into one teacher, where they're all crammed in there, there's not even room to even breathe in some of the
If we could get it down to 15 kids, that would be great. But the problem is, in Georgia, funding, money
Right.
is tied to that. And the money only goes but so far. And so in order to bring down the ratio, we'd have to have more money. More money from the state, more money locally, etc., in order to have a smaller teacher-student ratio. And we don't have the money right now to bring it down to what we'd like it to be. It would be great if we could have 20
So
kids.
we're gonna work on it, right?
We are.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
That's it.
This gentleman actually.
I have a question, like if you go to the school, like high school, and when you get there and it smells like weed,
Smell like okay.
marijuana,
If you get there and you smell weed, I would sure make sure the school is aware of that. The principal is aware, because more than likely, somebody is smoking weed at home or on their way to school or in a car, and then they walked into the school. And so you'd be amazed. You may smell it. Eventually, I'm confident that someone has identified that person or child to address them. You may get the smell of it, but I can assure you that those of us who are in the school, principals and teachers and other staff members, we're looking out and we're smelling what you smell, and we more than likely will identify the students. But unfortunately, sometimes our kids come to school smelling like weed, and then we have to take action. But if you smell that, I would encourage you to let the principal know, report that to the principal so the principal can address that. We can't just, we got to go out and figure it out. It's a process. And so, but I don't think I've seen kids smoking weed at the school, but they will come smelling like weed. Oftentimes they're smoking weed in many other places, in cars, at home, etc. That happens. Just because you smell it, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. We do that. We do that. I mean, are you with the principal all day so you'll know whether or not? But they do that. I'm telling you, as a principal, we do that. Just because you smell the weed, don't assume that nothing's been done. We do that. You just may not see it when I'm dealing with it. Our teachers and our assistant principals and our counselors, they identify and they smell what you smell, and we identify students and we address that. So don't assume because you don't see it happening that it's not happening. We do that because we know kids come to school smelling like that. And we take action on that. Sometimes they may get beyond the school because basically, they may walk down the hall before someone smells it or before someone sees them. But we do address that. But don't assume because you don't see it that we're not addressing that. I can assure you we are. Our principals are doing that.
Muy buenos días, mi nombre es Alberto Martinez, tengo un hijo en Elementary School en Fontaine y mi recuerdo, mi preocupación es tener teachers o maestros bien pagados en base a sus méritos, sus credenciales, para que ellos puedan desempeñar un buen trabajo con los estudiantes y implementar algunas revisiones espontáneas o no planeadas para ver si realmente ellos están haciendo bien su trabajo.
I have a child in Fountain Elementary, and my concern is teachers that are well paid based on their qualifications so that they can provide the education that our children need. And also, are there any random or spontaneous tools that you use to measure their progress?
Measure the progress of the teachers or students?
The teachers.
Okay. Two things. Clayton County is one of the highest paying school districts in the metro area. Okay. And we're working always to increase our salaries, but we are one of the highest paying school districts. Okay.
Solo para evitar que se vayan otros condados. Solo para mantener escuelas que están totalmente tituladas, porque a veces mandan algunos maestros que no están.
So to maintain highly qualified teachers, because oftentimes they're not.
That's correct. That is correct. And we do have a process to ensure that we hire highly qualified teachers. That's our work. That's what we do. And the principal, of course, is uniquely positioned to ensure that they hire the best candidates.
What about when they have substitutes in the classroom?
Sometimes substitutes are hired. We may have a teacher who has to leave out on maternity leave or someone who is ill and we have to bring in a substitute teacher. And sometimes if a position is not filled, they may have to use a substitute until they can find a highly qualified teacher. And so one of the things that should be stated, so all parents will understand, that we're working to recruit teachers and to retain teachers. Okay? But we do assess teachers. We have an evaluation process to determine whether or not what areas that they're doing well in and to identify areas that they need to improve in.
Buenos días, mi nombre es María Alberto. Tengo niños en Harper y Sequoia. Mi pregunta es, ¿por qué el programa después de clase no tiene autobús para regresar a los estudiantes a sus casas o si alguna vez lo va a tener?
My question is, I have two children, Harper and Sequoia. My question is for the after-school programs that are offered, why is there no transportation provided, and will there ever be?
That's a good question. Those after-school programs are tuition-based. In other words, parents do pay a certain amount of tuition. One reason transportation is not provided is because of funding. Those are optional programs, and it's because of funding. Most of our funding is spent on picking kids up to get to school and dropping them off. And we only have so much money for transportation. And so that's one reason transportation is not provided.
Okay, good morning, appreciate it for everything, and thank you for help for the students, right? Okay, everyone talking about the drugs, sorry, but you talking about to the bullying, no, security. For my student, for my child is everything, right? Thank you, appreciate it, because when need help for my child is, I take help. But when I go to the school, I see to the other students skipping to class, but the security saw the students, it don't say nothing. And I asked him one time to the consul, they say, excuse me, you don't have security or you don't have the cameras for the doors, for the exits, because all the students is go behind. If the other students is open for the skipping class. And everyone, the teacher sometimes see, it don't say nothing.
So,
what is the security?
Well, and what I would say, if you see that,
Yes,
somehow
I
you
see.
need to let us know that. If you have a school, your child, and you see students skipping out in the community, wherever, if you would let us know that, we will address that. We'll work with the schools. If they're not paying attention to that, and they should be, and I believe they are, because we're monitoring the data that tells us that we're improving. But you may have seen a situation where someone overlooked the kid. Bring it to the principal's attention, and we'll work to address that.
The school is the Mount Zion High School.
I'm sorry.
Mount Zion,
Mount
yeah.
Zion High School?
Yeah, Mount
Okay.
Zion.
Okay. Making a note of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to say that I appreciate your service for credit hunting for the school. My name is Lucia Hernandez, and I am mother of 3 children, 2 of them still attending Clayton Public Schools. I'm concerned about the nutrition of the food that my children are receiving in their schools. Both of my children are unhappy with the food program in their schools. They say the food that they receive is very low quality. Because sometimes the cookers give to them food that is already spoiled. One of these schools is in Mount Zion High School. I would like to know if you heard about this concern with other parents, and if yes, could you tell me how do you plan to improve the food program in our schools? I'm really concerned about this because I believe that our children need a good food program that provides well-balanced diet for them to thrive in school.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. So, to your question, that is a concern, and so this is the first I've heard about Mount Zion. We have been working with our students. They were concerned about the quality and the taste of the food, and so we've been working to, we hired a chef to train up all the lunchroom staff to make better food. We do follow national guidelines on food, and so our kids should be getting a balanced meal. But relative to the quality, we'll check into the quality and we'll see exactly what's happening relative to Mount Zion High School to ensure they should not be, no one should be serving students spoiled food. We have very strict rules that we have to follow about food and food handling. And so we'll check into that to see exactly, and your students are doing right. When that happens, they need to let you know, and when you hear about it, you need to what? Let us know. And so.
Buenos días. Gracias por estar aquí escuchando nuestras quejas.
Listening to our complaints.
Yo tengo muchas. La primera es, yo quisiera ser voluntaria en la escuela que estudian mis hijos. Tengo en la BC Haney y en la Ely College. Pero me dicen que no puedo por no ser residente de Georgia. No soy residente, pero no soy criminal. Lo pueden comprobar haciéndome las huellas.
Yeah, so I have Haney and Elite Scholars, And my question is, when I tried to volunteer for my child's schools, I was told I couldn't, that I had to be a Georgia resident. And I'm not a criminal. I'm not a Georgia resident, but I'm not a criminal. I can prove it with my background check.
So we'll just have to check on that situation, okay? Very good.
La otra pregunta es, ¿por qué en la ELI no tienen alguien que nos traduzca en español cuando son muy importantes las reuniones? A veces unas les entiendo y a otras no les entiendo.
My question is, in Elite Scholars, why is there no interpreter? Sometimes at the meetings, which are important, I understand what they're saying. Other times, I don't completely understand.
So we'll have to work with Dr. Normil and the principal to see why our interpreter is not requested. So they should be requested, I believe.
Mi otra pregunta es, estoy muy agradecida por las clases de International Center. En mi persona me han ayudado mucho para poder platicar con los maestros de mis niños en la escuela y poder hacerle unas pocas preguntas. Pero ¿por qué llegar hasta 4 level? ¿Por qué no más level?
This is regarding the International Center. I'm very grateful for the help I've received here. I have been able to communicate with my child's teachers, but why stop at the level 4? More levels are needed.
Keep going. Sky is the limit.
Please. Mi otra pregunta es, mil disculpas por lo que le voy a decir, pero ¿qué ha pensado usted hacer en las escuelas para que sean más seguras para nuestros niños?
I'm sorry what I'm about to ask, but what are your plans to make our schools safer for our children?
Well, what are our plans? Make sure everyone understands. And so, our plans. So we, as I shared earlier, we have random safety checks. We have a student code of conduct that we expect students to follow. We have clearly SROs in our secondary schools. We have the SRO team to serve our elementary schools. But Dr. Beasley or the principal or the teachers can't see it all. It takes all of us. And so my plan is to ensure that all of us understand that safety and security is not just the superintendent's responsibility, it's all of our responsibility, which means that all of us need to be talking to our children about how they behave themselves when they come to school. They've got to behave themselves when they go to where? Class. They've got to understand that drugs should not be brought on the school ground. They've got to understand that they shouldn't be cutting class. I have to keep it real. You all are the parents. I didn't have the children. These are your children. You got to make sure that your child does what your child needs to do. Like I had to do with my 4 children. And so, yes, the school has a responsibility, and I've been there. I've been a principal. But the bottom line is this. These are your children. You got to hold your children to high expectations. And what do you do when they don't do what they're supposed to do? You let it go by, you wink at it and say, oh, it'll be okay? Or do you address it? We have to work together. We are your partners. We are your partners in this process. But remember this, they are your children. And notice what I said, your children, which means that you should have a degree of influence on them. When you say go to school, what should they do? When you say behave yourself, what should they do? When you say don't cut class, what should they do? My question to you all is, what are you doing as parents when they do those things? Yes, we have a responsibility as a school that we're doing, and we continue to improve on our end. But guess what? I wouldn't have to deal with discipline if they came to school and did what? Behave. I wouldn't have to deal with class cutting if they chose not to what? Cut. The principal wouldn't have to deal with that. So as parents, you got to work with the principal to ensure that all of our children are behaving, going to class, etc., etc., etc. So the question is, what am I doing? I'm going to throw it back on you because I'm going to keep it real with everybody. What are you doing to ensure that your children, when school is out, that they're coming home, that they're not hanging out in bad places, that they're not going buying drugs? What are you doing to ensure that they're not in games? What are you doing to ensure that they're doing their homework, that they're reading every night? Does that make sense? We all have a responsibility. And I'll tell you this, on a personal note, I wouldn't raise one that I wouldn't have one that I couldn't raise. When you live in my house, you're going to do as I say. And in my house, when I say go to school and behave, I mean exactly that. Go to school and do what? And if you don't, the principal's the last person you got to worry about. I'm going to handle that. You know why? Because you are whose child? You're my child. And I'm not afraid of anybody that I've had. As a matter of fact, if you're going to be afraid of them, you shouldn't have them. And so, everyone, my question to you is, school, we have our responsibility. But what are we doing to ensure that our children are behaving, learning, not cutting class, not in games, not bringing drugs to school? Because if you got drugs in your house, don't be surprised if they come to the school. If you're fighting in the house and bullying in the house, don't be surprised if they don't bring it to school. If we're involved in games in the house, guess what happens? The school is just a reflection of the group, the families. That's all. That's tough, but it is what it is. And so, what are we doing? So and you don't have to put your hand up. But how many of us have had this tough conversation with our children about what we expect? No drugs, no discipline issues, go to school on time, every day, no cutting of class. You gotta have those conversations. And you gotta look that child in the face and say, I love you, but I'm not having that. You're going to do right. And let me tell you something. If we do more of that, we'll see less of our children in prison. And I know we all have our different cultures. I have my culture, you have yours. But in my house, my culture says, if you're a child, you're going to be raised like a child. I'm going to love you, but you're going to be held to high expectations. You're not going to be disrespectful. You're not going to go and do whatever you want to do. Why? Because that makes me less than a parent. And then I realized that I've got to raise you up in order to go out into society and get along with other people so you can be productive and fulfill the purpose that you have for your lives. And so, don't mean to be too preachy here today, but my question to you as parents is, what are we doing to address those issues? We can teach you if you behave. We can teach you if you come to school. We can do a lot more teaching if we didn't have some of these issues that we were dealing with in our schools.
Hola, mi nombre es Esmeralda Rodríguez. Buenos días por venir. Mi pregunta es conforme a lo que se estaba diciendo de las gráficas. Es cierto, el trabajo es duro, pero como usted está diciendo, todo lo que estaba diciendo ahorita es cierto. Ustedes como educación dan el seguimiento a la educación que viene de la casa. Nosotros aquí, como padres, somos bien poquitos para todo lo que está pasando. Cada uno de nosotros, si nosotros realmente quisiéramos un cambio, deberíamos ser líderes en cada escuela para poder mover a los padres. Usted hace su trabajo, los estudiantes en su trabajo, los maestros en su trabajo, y nosotros como padres no hacemos nada. Eso es la verdad, no es cierto.
What you said is correct. The graphics you showed us earlier are true. And yes, we are, you guys do an extension of what we're supposed to do at home. Teachers are supposed to do their job, you're supposed to do your job, school personnel is supposed to do their job, and the truth is we're not doing our job. So we should be the leaders at every school and do our job.
Correct.
Otra cosa, por ejemplo, nosotros como hispanos tenemos una cultura. Yo lo digo porque yo no vivía en Clayton, yo vivía en Fulton. Me cambié a Clayton en el 2009, desde el 2009 yo estoy viviendo aquí.
I have been here since 2009. I used to be in Fulton, now I'm here. And we have a certain culture as Hispanics.
Que yo he estado aquí, yo siempre he estado de voluntaria en las escuelas.
I've always volunteered here at the
Todos
schools.
los papás somos felices cuando vamos y dejamos a los niños a la escuela. Nos olvidamos, el niño va a la escuela, regresa a la casa.
We're all happy when we just drop off our kids at the school and then go home.
Pero la escuela necesita voluntarios.
Schools need volunteers. They need involved parents in the activities that are set out for their kids. When they announce things, our parents don't go. All these excuses, no transportation, no language. But it is when the children are in trouble that we show up at the school to demand things. To me, it's like a ladder. School, the home. And if we don't have that solid foundation, we can't reach the top.
Thank you. Gracias. This is
Here, Forest Park High School, Forest Park Middle School.
Okay, you got those. This is what I would say. We all have aspects of our culture that are good and some are troubling to us. That happens in every culture. I can assure you, as an African American, there are some parts of African American culture that irks me. They irk me. But we have to build on the good parts of our culture, right? Period. I would say that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you and every parent in here be successful and have children who are what? Successful. It takes all of us, as you said, working together in order to do that. And so I encourage our parents to volunteer, and if there are issues with volunteerism, let us know so we can navigate those issues. If there are particular schools that we're having trouble, you got to let the superintendent know. Let us know. I can't help if I don't know, right? You got to let us know. But I want you beyond here today, as we heard you say, you've got to make sure that we're working with the school. We're volunteering. You may not can do everything that the school can do, but just your presence makes a difference. Your presence makes a difference. And so be present. Have conversations with your children, our children. Let them know what we expect of them. Expect of them. It's a little complicated. Let me tell you why it's complicated, and especially sometimes for our Hispanic community, because you're dealing with the immigration issues. But let me tell you this. Don't allow that stuff. We are a safe place. The school system is a safe place. You come here and you have our support. It doesn't matter where you come from when you come here. Our goal is for you to get the education that you need in order for you to go where you want to go in this whole world. And so, encourage your other families to get involved. You got to get the message out there that the school system is a safe place. Period. It's a safe place. You can come and be a part of the school system, regardless of where you're from, regardless of your status. We'll figure out what the laws are, but I don't think that there's anything that would stop any of you from coming to be around your child. That's your child. And unless the courts take that right away from you, I am in no position to take that right away from you. Okay? But we're a safe place, and we want you to come and be a part of everything happening in our school system. Okay?
I have time for one more question, so we have a few minutes left.
Okay.
Good morning, my name is Maria. Thank you for being here today. Give to us a little of your time. I know you are so busy. My question is about the transportation for the magnet program. Because a lot of us have children that want to go to schools like Rexmill, Andy Roberts, Elite Scholars, but they can't because they don't have the possibility to use a bus, and maybe the both parents are working and they don't have the time to take them to the school. This is my case because the last 2 years I was paying $400 per year because my kid go to Rex and they don't have bus. But I know that he has the capacity for growth. Now he's one of the 5 better GPA from Rexmill. He has been representing Clayton County Public Schools at math competition, science competition, and he take the PSAT, and he was the best puntuation for the all Rexmill. Now he's, I don't know what, you was talking about the program for dual enrollment. He's going to take a tour to college next February 23. But I know a lot of kids have the capacity to go to these schools and they work hard every day. But sometimes the transportation is one of the obstacles that face.
So noted, and I know we have a shuttle process, so I have to just learn and figure out exactly what the challenges are there. But I do know we provide shuttles. But Mr. Walker here, transportation, I want you to see him, okay?
That's it.
Okay.
Miss Nadia, it's muy important for my child.
Are we taking more questions?
I think she has a question.
She has a question?
I'm in hers, okay?
Okay.
Let's take some from those that we're going to entertain. Let's take some from those who have not had an opportunity.
Bueno, yo tengo una pregunta, bueno, a lo mejor somos varias que tenemos la pregunta de que la transportación para nuestros niños, bueno, mi hija va en Forest Park Middle School y su hora que tiene que pasar a recoger el autobús es 7:35, pero el autobús a veces viene recogiéndolos a las 9 de la mañana, es una hora que ellos pierden de clase y que están ahí. O sea, ya ese problema viene desde que ella entró al 6 ahí en realidad.
My child's 8th grader at Forest Park Middle School, and we've had an issue with transportation since she's been there. The bus is supposed to come at 7:35, and it doesn't get there till 9. So they're missing quality time in the classroom with this issue.
Forest Park Middle School.
Adamson has the same problem, and she did, sorry, mention that it was an issue that a lot of them were having with transportation.
Thank you all for sharing those concerns, and just so you'll know, our transportation department is dealing with the transportation issues. There is a shortage of bus drivers, and sometimes one bus driver has to do several routes. So we're competing with the market outside of the school systems that are paying people more. Once we train them up, then they seem to leave us after being trained, and so we're dealing with that. We have some solutions that we're moving forward for next year, but we appreciate you all's patience as we deal with this national issue of a shortage of bus drivers. In particular, many large urban many school districts are dealing with that right now because of the job market. They can make more money outside of school systems, and so we're trying to manage that situation. But we're hiring right now, and so if you know of someone who needs a job or wants a job who can be trained up to drive a bus, That would be, see Mr. Walker right there. Okay. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much. Before you depart, let's actually give our superintendent of schools a rounding applause. And we thank you again for the opportunity to share your feedback about how we're doing and what we can do to make things better for you as stakeholders. But before you depart, one quick thing. We ask that you take out your cell phones. We want to hear from you. We want to know how we're doing. We want to know, again, how we can make opportunities better for you as our stakeholders. So we encourage you to partake in a survey. Just click on the barcode or take a picture of the barcode. It's 2 questions, just 2 questions.
In front of that, Mark.
In front of it? Okay.
Don't forget about the state of the schools on Thursday at 6 p.m.
That's right. We changed the date, so please, we encourage you to come out, share, we'll actually listen to the superintendent. You'll hear more about what's happening within our school district on Thursday night, that's February the 7th at 6 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. February the 7th at 6 p.m. Performing Arts Center.
And I do have a question. I'm Monica Wiley over Fine Arts and School Choice. If you have a current 8th grader through 11th grade and you are interested, or your child is interested in musical theater and they want a summer camp, we are offering scholarships to attend our summer camp this summer, so please see me afterwards.
Any final comments, Dr. Beasley?
Thank you all. I've enjoyed it. We're going to work on the concerns that we heard you share, and we're going to come back and have this session again and follow up to see are we doing better, okay? Thanks, everybody.